Hey guys, in this tutorial I'm going to walk you through fractional indices or fractional powers or exponents, if you will. Say we have a base a, it could be any number except 0, raised to the fraction to the power of 1 over r. It's going to be the same thing as r root, or sometimes it's called a radical, so actually roots and radicals, they're the same thing, of a. When the bottom of the fraction equals 2, this is a special case, if you will. So a to a half power 1 over 2. It's the same thing as square root of a. So this is kind of a conversion. So any base a to a half power can be turned into a square root of this base a. That's actually vitally important things in algebra, in maths. For instance, if you have 2 to a quarter a power, so it also could be written in the form of a radical or of a root. So it's gonna be the fourth root of 2. So we would say the square root of a or the fourth root of 2. Now, the more general case, when we have a to a fraction m over n, so it also could be written in the form of a raised to the m and raised to the 1 over n. Remember power on power rule, so we multiply these powers together. Also, this one can be converted into the radical form, so it's gonna be nth root of a raised to the nth power. And it also could be written in the way, so actually this power of am can be pulled out outside of the root, so outside of the brackets actually. All you need to remember that actually the top number m raises the base a to the power, and the bottom number n takes the root of this base a. So this is very practical and very important formula in math. This is kind of a connection, a link between a fractional exponent or rational exponent, it's the same, and radicals. Because sometimes when you do algebra, you have to convert, you have to change, in other words, the fractional power into radicals, and sometimes vice versa. So these formulas are vitally important. So again, the denominator of the rational exponent becomes the index of a radical, and the numerator, the top number, becomes the exponent of the radicand. So radicand actually it's the expression underneath your radical symbol. So the radicand in this case, it's a or base. So it could be also any expression. It's not necessarily a number, it could be variable or any expression. For example, say we have 2 to the 3/4 power, so it's the same thing as 2 cubed raised to a quarter power, according to top formula. It also could be written in forms of radicals or roots. Now, let's evaluate the following fractional indices. So let's say we have 16 to the 3 over 2, and we want to evaluate. So in other words, we want to find the value. So remember that connection that you were given before. So a to n over m power, it's the same thing as nth root of a raised to the nth power. And particularly for these problems, I'm going to use these pieces of that given formula. So remember, the bottom number takes the root, in this case it's going to be square root of 16, and the top number raises the value to this power. So square root of 16 is going to be 4, and we need to raise this 4 to the third power, so 4 cube. I would suggest you to use this part of the formula since it's gonna be easy to evaluate. So if you raise 16 to the cube power and after take the square root, it would be much more difficult than you first take a root and after you raise the power. So you could do again differently, like this way. You raise 16 to the third power and after take the root, but it would be more difficult. So all you need to do is just raise 4 to the cube power. So 4 times 4 times 4, and you end up getting 64. So 4 cubed equals 64. I will encourage you to continue with other problems and solve them.